Hello everyone. Welcome to the monthly current affairs series of Amrita IS, and today we'll be starting with the governance of the October month. First subsection, that is education, skill and innovation, and the first initiative that we're going to read, that is STAR project. STAR, that is the student teacher learning and result for the states. So this is the full form of the STARS project. This project is in alignment with the new education policy. In essence, this project is aiming at the reformation of the school education. So that's what we need to remember. It's not for the higher education. First of all, it is for the education, from because from the name itself it is not very clear for which this project is. So first it is for the education sector, then it is for the school education, right? Third thing, it is partly funded by the World Bank, and fourth thing, that is it is a centrally sponsored scheme. Remaining funds will be contributed by the center and the state government. So STAR program will be partly funded by the World Bank and states. It's a centrally sponsored scheme, right? So Lighthouse for the new education policy, around 5,000 crore World Bank aided project for improving the school education. So it will improve the data assessment system in 6 states. So pilot project is launched in the 6 states. Some more details about it. So we have discussed that it is implemented as a centrally sponsored scheme. You don't have to remember the 6 states, but still it's in Himachal, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, MP, and Kerala and Odisha. Okay, so you don't have to remember the 6 state. That's all you have to remember, that it's being implemented in the 6 state. It will focus on strengthening the early childhood education and the foundational learning as well as the vocational education in the schools, and overall improvement of the monitoring and the measurement in the Indian school education system. Chalo. So as it is a centrally sponsored scheme, and hence the responsibility is both on the center and the state. Responsibility on the state because it's more related to the ground level. So the more responsibility, implementational or operational responsibility, are more on the states, and major responsibility with respect to data, with respect to monitoring, with respect to the standards is on the center, right? So at the national level, the project envisages following intervention to strengthen Ministry of Education's national data system, improving states score by incentivizing scores governance reform agenda through state incentives, learning assessment system. One Parak system, we will discuss this. Parak system will also be created, that is National Assessment Center. Then at the state level, strengthening the early childhood, improving the learning assessment, strengthening classroom instructions and remediation, governance, and all these things. So don't have, because these are not important for prelims, that's why we have not kept it. Just remember very quickly, let's reiterate. So STARS project is a school education, school education, World Bank partly funded, centrally sponsored scheme, some responsibility of the center, some responsibility of the states. Then within the STAR system, that is a Parak. From the name Parak, Parak is basically a Hindi word that means assess. So it's a basically a component of the STARS project. That Parak means performance assessment, review and analysis of the knowledge for holistic development. A national assessment center included in the new education policy, or in the alignment with the new education policy. It will be an autonomous institutions. Why? Because the work here is of the assessment. So it has to be some sort of autonomy has to be there of this particular institution. है ना? It will set up the norm of the school student assessment evaluation for all school boards across the country, most of which currently follow the norms set by the state governments. So it will be an independent institution for learning assessment. So for example, we have discussed the ASER report, right? So basically institutionalizing such process at the school educational level. Okay, chalo. So this is your Parak. Very quickly. So National Assessment Center Parak, transforming assessment for the school education. You can read all the same things that are there that we have discussed under the Ministry of the Education. Next is Jigyasa initiative. It's not a new initiative, it's an old initiative, but it remains in the news. Jigyasa initiative is basically the idea of connecting the education, the scientist, students, and schools. So interconnecting these three stakeholders, that is the idea behind the Jigyasa initiative. Now for scientists, as Prime Minister has last I talked about the scientific social responsibility. So Jigyasa initiative, Jigyasa means curiosity. So the idea is that the scientist and the student connect will be created. so that it will be for both stakeholder. For scientists, it is a part of their scientific social responsibility, and for student, it will develop the culture of the inquisitiveness or the culture of the curiousness for the students, है ना? So for example, different laboratories of the CSIR, it is taken up by the CSIR and with the Kendriya Vidyalaya. So different laboratories of the CSIR, they will arrange the meeting of the students. Now currently in the time of the pandemic, it is done through the online environment, and that is why Jigyasa 2.0 has also been launched. So the idea is obviously to connect the students, because one of the problems that we find with the innovation ecosystem is that the lack of the culture of the inquisitiveness or culture of the curiousness that needs to be developed right from the childhood. And if the involvement is there right from the childhood with the scientists, there will be a lot more motivation for the children. The focus of this scheme is to extend the students classroom learning with well planned research laboratory based learnings. Okay. So Jigyasa is one of the major initiative of the CSIR very quickly at the national level for further widening and deepening its scientific social responsibility. Last year, PM Modi talked about scientific social responsibility, and he also talked about the or later on scientific social responsibility policy was also laid out. Okay. On the other hand, on the one hand, program will also explain the culture of curiousness and scientific nature on the other. So, for example, you can see CSIR, National Chemical Laboratory, spread the benefits of the Jigyasa program, working with IIT Bombay and all these things. Okay. Next is a very important topic, that is women in STEM. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The participation of the women in STEM is very critical, right? Because first of all, critical for the field of the STEM itself or the field of the innovation itself, because without the involvement of the a lot of women, we are not able to harness the human resource which is there with respect to women, or what women can contribute to the field of the STEM. First thing, so that is a loss for the field of STEM. And secondly, for women, it perpetuates the inequality, the vicious cycle of the inequality in which they are trapped in. So that is why it is important for the women for the governance at the national, at the international level, to promote the women in the STEM. Okay. So with respect to this, it's in the news that IBM is working with the DST, Department of Science and Technology, to for improvement for the women in the STEM in India. So they have launched two programs in India, or the one program was already there, that is the Vigyan Jyoti scheme and Engage with Science, right? So Vigyan Jyoti is an old scheme, and IBM will contribute to it. And second program that has started, that is Engage with Science. So IBM, that is International Business Machine, a company that will work with the DST to promote this women in STEM. Now let's look at it in deep. So the UN reports talk about a paradox which is there in India, that in India, around 40% of the graduates in STEM are the women, while the global average is only 35. So that's a good thing. But that is not getting translated into the a lot of women in the field of the research, doing PhD, patents, and all this. While the global average is around 30%. It is also known as the pipeline leakage problem in the STEM, because from the time they are here, they are not able to they are not, this is not getting translated from to this, and this is known as the, or this is being termed as the pipeline leakage problem in the field of the STEM. So for that, different initiatives are being taken. This PIB has also shared this particular image, so basically sharing that total researchers, global research, we have seen 30% the global researchers are there, women, worldwide women are there, and different figures are there. You can search out any important data that you like, but it's not India specific, so not very important. Now next, let's discuss the two engagements that is there. That is, first is the Vigyan Jyoti scheme. It's under the DST, not Ministry of Education. So this one thing you need to remember. So scheme intent to create a level playing field for the meritorious girls. So meritorious girls from the class of 9 to 12, they will be given exposure to pursue STEM career in this STEM. They will offer exposure to the girl students from rural background to help plan their journey from school to a job of their choice in the field of the science. Okay. Then the partnership with the IBM will help this Vigyan Jyoti scheme, because IBM will help to increase the number of the schools which are covered and also the role models. For example, a lot of women who are working in the IBM can work as a role model to inspire these girls to pursue a career in the STEM. Next is engage with the science. From the name itself, engaging with the science, that is building interest and create a community of practice with the student, teacher, scientist, discussing all these things. So IBM will run the day-to-day activities of the program, including student workshop and all these things. So basically, what is important for exam? So two schemes IBM is working. Which company is working? IBM. Two program Vigyan Jyoti and engage with science. These two schemes launched by the or are activities done by the DST. For what purpose? For including women in science. That's all. Next, one more scheme has been launched in October 2020. That is the Power Scheme. Now, the Power Scheme DST initiative, that is by SERB Power initiative has been launched. That is promoting opportunities for women in the exploratory research. So the minister says that enhancement of the participation of women and the promotion of the women in the research workforce is our prime priorities of our government. So the Power Scheme is again in the field of the promoting women in the STEM. Two components are there of this particular scheme. We don't have to go into the details of it, but I'll kept that data. So Power, that is SERB, that is Science and Engineering Research Board. It's a statutory body under the DST. Target is women scientists to mitigate the gender disparity in there. Two initiatives are there. First is the SERB Power Fellowship and SERB Power Research Grant. You don't have to remember too much details. 30-35 year, that's all. 15,000 extra money will be given. Under the two categories will be given power grants level 1, level 2. Not important for us. Okay. What is important for us? The Power Scheme by which institute and what is the idea behind the scheme of the Power. Next is one of the flagship schemes or one of the umbrella schemes which is there by the DST, that is for women in STEM. So previously we have seen these three schemes, right? Engage with science, Vigyan Jyoti, and this. These are under the whole umbrella of the Kiran scheme. Kiran scheme, that is knowledge involvement in the research advancement through nurturing. That is Kiran scheme. Within the Kiran scheme, that's an umbrella scheme as we have discussed, under which different initiatives come. For example, you can see Vigyan Jyoti scheme listed here, right? And then different schemes comes in the news. So Department of Science and Tech in 2015 umbrella scheme to bring gender parity in the science and tech through gender mainstreaming. So remember, the Kiran scheme is an umbrella scheme within which such initiatives come in. Okay. Last one in this first subheading, that is Kapila campaign. Now, Kapila campaign full form is Kalam Program for IP Literacy and Awareness. That is, IP means intellectual property literacy and awareness. Under the Kapila campaign, students in the higher education institution will get information about the correct system of the application process for patenting their innovation. So basically, maybe we have the knowledge about the patents, we have the capabilities, but we are not able to go through the governance system which is there. So helping us out to this governance system, so as to make this governance system relatively easier for us to understand, they have launched this Kapila campaign. Okay. So Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell and AICTE, they have both launched this particular campaign under the Ministry of the Education. So what you need to differentiate is basically the different initiatives taken by Ministry of Education and the DST. If the question will be asked based upon old pattern, when the initiatives were being asked, they can confuse you between giving any initiative for innovation, whether it's an initiative of the DST or whether it's an initiative of the Ministry of the Education from that perspective. Okay, let's go on. Let's discuss some of the initiatives from health and nutrition perspective. First one is the Samvedana. Samvedana is basically a Hindi word again that means sensitivity, being sensitive, or being empathetic, right? So it's a launched by National Commission for Protection of the Child Rights. It's again a statutory body for protection of the child rights, right? So it's a Samvedana, that is a toll-free tele-counseling helpline number for children affected during the COVID-19. So for example, those children who are affected by the COVID-19, these children can be going through the COVID treatment, have COVID positive parents, or have lost someone close to them during the pandemic. That means the stress which is being there for the children, if anyone, any stakeholder related to them, significant other related to them has been contracted with the COVID, or they themselves have contracted COVID. So provide them psychological support to address their anxiety, fear, other issues during the testing times. Now, launched by the, that is, National Commission for the Protection of the Child Right. It will provide the counseling and the psychological, psychosocial support to the children all over the India in various regional language. And the counselors which are there, they are trained by the NIMHANS, that is National Institute of Mental Health and the Neurosciences, to address the needs of the children in the difficult time. ठीक, चलो. Next is the within the healthcare, that is Ayushman Sahakar scheme. Sahakar means basically cooperative. So what is the idea? Ayushman means from health related. So basically the idea is to help the cooperatives, or taking the synergy of the cooperatives to set up more healthcare facilities in India. So around 10,000 crore rupees of fund have, or the loans will be given to the cooperatives if the cooperative wants to do something in the field of the healthcare. Okay. Now it is launched by the National Cooperative Development Society Corporation, which itself is a statutory body under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. So under the agriculture and the farmer welfare, cooperatives. Now cooperatives taking help in the healthcare sector. A scheme to assist cooperative in the creation of healthcare infrastructure in the country. Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. So ministry yaad rakhni hai. From the name itself, Ayushman Sahakar. Ayushman means health, Sahakar means cooperative, and it overall it is in the Ministry of Farmer. So NCDC assistance will flow either through state governments or directly through eligible cooperatives. Scheme will provide the working capital and the margin money to meet the operational requirements. Further, the scheme provides interest subvention of 1% to the women majority cooperatives. Okay? So that's all we have to remember. If the cooperative is there, the government will provide interest subvention to the loans you will take for setting up the healthcare facility. Chalo. So this is there. So it's a comprehensive approach. Doctor, healthcare, medical education, nursing education, paramedical, healthcare, such as Ayush. So COVID-19 has brought in the requirement of the creation of more facility, and that will be the work taken up by the cooperatives. The last initiative, that is within the miscellaneous good governance, that is the very important scheme, that is Swamitwa scheme. Swamitwa scheme is basically a survey of the village and mapping with the improvised technology in the village area scheme. That is the full form. Full forms are not important. The word itself is important. Swamitwa scheme. Swamitwa scheme is basically the idea that in the rural areas, what they want to do, they want to basically create a land database, that this is your land, and that would be done electronically, right? So preparing the land records with the help of the surveys. That is the core idea of the Swamitwa Yojana. Now you can see that basically some of the context is also there for with respect to this scheme. Very important scheme. A collaborative effort of the Ministry of Panchayati Raj, Panchayati Raj, State Revenue Department, and Survey of India. It will be a central sector scheme that is totally led by the Modi ji. Now the context lies in the land distribution in India. At the eve of the independence, you can see only 7% of the villagers, rich zamindars, only 7% of the people in the rural area own the 75% of the fertile land. So a huge inequality in the distribution of the land, right? While you can see 45% owned no land and 48% owned only 25% fertile land. Along with that, so this was the distribution at the eve of the independence. And why it was like that? Because of the land revenue system done by the Britishers. Permanent settlement, zamindari, and permanent settlement, your Royatwari and Mahalwari and other systems. Now, after this, let's say at independence, we have acquired this legacy, very poor legacy, right? After that, we do have our land reform movements. We do take our land, we tried land reform. For example, Zamindari abolition, right? We tried land ceiling act. We tried tenancy reforms. We tried some civil society led, such as Bhudan, Gramdan movement. But irrespective of such movement, a lot of problems were there in such land reform movements, because of which all these things could not properly take place. That is, land reform is said to be one of the unfinished agenda in the India. Now, because such land reforms could not take place, so land records are also not there. Land records are also were not prepared. A lot of priority was not there on the land records, or the land records have been not digitalized despite having a lot of initiatives with respect to that. And what is the problem being faced because of this? A lot of problems are being faced because not having such land records. In the absence of the land records, a lot of problems are there. For example, land cannot be taken as a collateral because you don't have the proper land records. So if you want to go to the bank and take interest, you cannot go because you don't have the proper collateral to give. Then if you don't have the land records, that means it will lead to a lot of disputes. So it will jam, judiciary log jam will be there. A lot of cases in the judiciary, especially in the subordinate courts, are because of the land dispute, civil cases, log jam, right? And then it is not also ease of doing business is also not there. Agriculture problems are there. Agriculture may capital investment is not taking place. So tenancy reforms, land leasing reforms not able to take place. Hence, Modi ji calls it a very transformative move, and PM to launch physical distribution of the property card under the Swamit Yojana move to set a transformative impact on the rural India and empower the millions. It will pave the way for property as a financial asset by the villagers, which is currently not being used by the villagers. So the objective, very quickly, let us see the objective: to provide an integrated property validation, mapping of the land parcel in the rural inhabited area using the drone technology, and continuously operating reference station. So our reference stations will be set up, and that will monitor or that will take up the surveys. Mapping will be done across the India in the phase wise from 2020 to 2024. It will update the record of rights in the revenue and the property register and issue property cards to the property owners in the rural area. So pilot project has been done for 2021 for 6 states has been done. It aims to cover all the village by the 2023-2024. Implementation at the national level, that is Ministry of Panchayati Raj, at the state level, revenue departments and land record departments, and at the ground level or the technology partner, that is the Survey of India. This is a very important scheme. That's why we are discussing in detail. Benefits, as we have discussed, the problems which were there or in which context it was launched, similarly the benefits will be the same. For example, financial stability to citizen by enabling them to use their property as a financial asset. Land records for rural planning, so good for governance also. Improve the property tax, so the good things for the local self-help government, self-government, panchayats and all. So they will be empowered because they will get this local tax. So it will create leverage by the department, disputes will be less, and better quality gram panchayat for making GIS maps. So there you can see Village Uttarakhand now look to secure bank loans because now they have the property cards in their hand. So they don't have to depend upon the money lender and the vicious cycle of the high interest rate and all these things. So this is all about the Swamitwa Yojana. And with this, we finish our session number 1 with respect to governance. So today we have discussed initiative with respect to education, with respect to health and miscellaneous governance. In the next session, we'll talk about some of the agriculture or economy related governance aspects, some related to the WASH and some related to the vulnerable section of the society. Till then, bye-bye. See you all in the next class. Thank you, everyone. Please download the PDF from our Telegram channel, and from there you can get all the updates as well. Bye-bye. Thank you.